Welcome to the Comical Heathen live stream Q&A. This is your host, Dr. Jerry Jaffe. We're just getting started here, as always, with these kind of live streams. There can be technical issues, but we got it all sorted out now, and we got an hour of Q&A ahead of us. We've been scouring our social media landscape for topics and questions. And I started doing these live Q&As as part of the podcast because I had a Q&A section in the live show I was doing in 2019, and the audiences seem to like it, and it's fun interactions, almost an improv game the way I do it. I'm not always an expert, but I'm here to joke around and have some fun and to see what you're interested in. When I do a Q&A show, I always need a helper, so I've invited a very good friend of mine to be our co-host. He has gathered the questions. I know very little about what we're about to talk about, actually. He's got that part of it organized. He's going to bring the topics and questions. He's going to monitor your comments. If you're watching us on YouTube or any other social media site, feel free to say hi or feel free to do whatever. We want to hear from you. But let me bring on my co-host, my very good friend, touring comedian. We've done a lot of shows together. He's part of our action comedy nerd show family and part of the Comical Heathen show. Please welcome Jesse Pimpinella.
Yeah, woo! How y'all doing? How you doing, everyone?
Hey, that's the
quirkiest thing I've ever done for anybody.
I know, that's quite a sharp coffee mug you have there. When I started doing the live show, and we only did a few, and then the pandemic hit, and comedy shut down, and that's understandable. Mm-hmm. But to get ready for the tour, Jesse, I ordered a whole crate of those coffee cup mugs. And now my wife says, thanks for buying us 5,000 coffee mugs. Okay. Endless supply of coffee mugs at my house right now.
Just tell her to have faith. That's all it goes about. Having no faith at all. So you never know.
Yeah. No comedian has ever ordered merch without faith. That's all. If there was ever a faith-based activity, it's the comedian who orders merch.
I never thought you could make even the most unreligious comic religious when buying merch. That is a very interesting fact.
The Action Comedy Nerd Show has 100 T-shirts I purchased that I've taken on the road to at least 40 shows, and we've sold 8 of them. So if you want a coffee mug or a shirt or a CD, go to my merch shop. I do it through Etsy, so I have an Etsy shop. But let's not dwell on that, Jesse. Let's dwell on what we're here to do, which is, hey, how are you doing today, Jesse?
Hey, I can't complain right now. Just waking up. I've just been watching a bunch of horror movies and been watching a lot of, and I don't want to get too much into this because I will talk about this as a question, but I've been watching some religious horror movies. So that's something I do have us planned to talk about. Okay. Because I'm not going to lie, since Easter is past, we are 6 months away from Halloween. Mm-hmm. So, and I got married on Halloween, so I'm excited. So this is like a Christmas lie for me right now.
Sure. All theater kids, which you and I are both theater kids.
Yes.
No, Halloween is the #1 holiday.
Oh, it is. It is. Yes. I mean, look at your theme music. You had the organ playing, man.
That organ is a friend of mine is an international organist. His name's Mark Bell, and he released a CD, and that CD is available of him playing Bach music so beautifully. And he gave me verbal permission to use his music as my theme music.
Verbal, everybody.
Yes, it's on the record. He gave me, and then my friend Jeff Geddert, who helps me with this show, remixed it, so it's got sort of that funky drumming and guitar to it now. So thank you, Mark and Jeff, for creating the theme music for the Comical Heathen. Hey, Jesse, we're here today to do Q&A, which means we've gathered questions and topics and social media posts orbiting around the Comical Heathen. Jesse is ready to go. And I do want to say that I did do a couple social media posts in the past couple months. Mm-hmm. About what I'm about to say. I'm in my actual work office in an undisclosed location somewhere in Northeast Ohio. You see a very small fraction of my books. That black shirt is actually the subway system of Tokyo, where I lived in Japan for 4 years. And I posted that on my desk at work, I have one of these.
Oh, my God.
That is a villain from the old Ultraman series.
Yeah.
And if you see it's tagged, it says #1 because you could buy all of the toys. But he was released first because he's the most famous villain. In English, he's called Baltan. And I posted that I'm the only person in America that has a ball tan on his desk. And one of my friends responded as a joke that he bets that's not true. So I'm challenging anyone who's out there, if you have any Ultraman monsters on your desk, I want to hear about it. Because I think I'm the only nerd that is that nerdy, at least about Ultraman.
I think you will find a few people. I remember when Ultraman was one of the Saturday morning cartoons on CW's lineup. I remember when they had it for a while. I was like, "Oh my god, Ultraman! This is a new show!" And everybody's like, "No, no, you're just the next generation who discovered it. That's all." But still, hey, that's the beauty of the culture. I mean, our nerd culture, everything keeps getting new life, new regeneration in generations. So that's always a good thing. But for
and to the 0 to 12 people who are currently watching, let me just add that the episode we're doing today, we do have a special guest coming on towards the end of the episode. Headliner, a very good friend of mine, DJ Dangler. So if you love me, if you love Jesse, but if you love DJ Dangler, make sure you hang out because we're going to bring him on later on in the show.
You heard it here.
All right, Jesse, let's get into it. You have the questions and topics. Which one are we? What are we doing first?
Well, this just came across the Comical Heathen desk. So let's rattle it off. Dear Jerry, for the weekend for Easter, I went for a long drive with my dad and started to talk about religion. We were raised Catholic. He was raised Catholic. And I told him that I was no longer Catholic and had no intentions of returning to Mass after the pandemic. He agreed and strongly assured me that he had no judgment towards me on the matter. However, as the conversation progressed, I brought up the fact that I don't really believe in God in the same way either. This revelation was met with far more judgment. And what do you think our friend Cameron sent to us?
Yeah, what do you think? Kind of open-ended, just want to get our reaction to it. The first thing I want to say is that in the story, there's like two steps, right? He's decided he's no longer Catholic, and then he's decided he no longer believes in God. And that is like two different decisions, two different life decisions. Yeah. And you're Catholic, as I recall, and I'm Jewish, and Catholics, which I'm not, so please correct me. And Jewish people, something that we share is that it's possible to like stop doing all the observances, but still be Catholic and Jewish.
Yeah.
And it's also possible to do all the observances, like to be an observant Jew or a observant Catholic, but be an atheist. Like you stop believing in God, but you want to continue going to Mass or doing the holidays, things like that. So it's possible to do it's two separate journeys in a way. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to add in just one comment, just a funny thing a friend said to me that I think is in the mix. Friend named, we call him Crazy Larry. Larry is a physicist. He's an atheist. He's super funny, but to the point where he's also doesn't consider other people's feelings. So he's a bit of a jerk. Mm. And, but he once said to me that he was glad, relieved, fortunate as a Christian, just not a Catholic, but just American Christian, to have been raised in the religion that is the easiest in the world to leave. If you're an average run-of-the-mill Christian, just go, I'm not a Christian anymore. There's no, you're not ostracized. You're not punished. Your parents might be upset. Who knows? But that's about the limit. You're not excommunicated. You're not divorced from your family. Right?
I think it's an easy, clean breakup. Right.
Yes.
It's a mutual breakup. The religion stops talking to you. You stop talking to them, and then you go your separate way. You might see your religion every once in a while. The old one, hey, how you doing? But yeah.
My father, who is Jewish, was watching. There's a Hebrew network, and there was a rabbi who does lessons, and he's a perfectly fine speaker and teacher. But he did this lecture that my father wanted me to see. He's like, Jerry, you're going to sit down. This is a great lecture. I want you to watch this lecture, hit the play button. And it was, it was a Jewish culture lecture. It is what it is. But the theme of it was if you're Jewish, what that means, this is what the rabbi was saying,
Mhm.
is that you're part of a family. And if you, no matter what you do, observant, non-observant, religious, non-religious, atheist, believer, traveling the world, wherever you are, you're part of that family. And my father wanted me to watch this because he wanted me to like get the message that no matter sort of how un-Jewish I am, I'm still part of the Jewish family. And I did not take that video the way he wanted me to. I mean, Jewish culture can be a wonderful thing, and many Jewish people are wonderful people. But describing it as a cult that I can never leave, I mean, Jewish religion is not the Hotel California. If I check out, I have left. No, like, there's no.
Well, I think, and
it is interesting. I think the writer was surprised that his father was more upset that he was becoming an atheist. But I'm not surprised, right? Isn't that like the bigger thing? Like, hey, don't be a Catholic. You know, you're still part of our family, like not just biologically, but the tribe of what we believe in. You know, believers. But when you flip that card or come out of the closet as an atheist, you'll get strong reactions from family members. I think that can be the case. I know all my parents are both believers, and when I started having little mini Jerry's children, my mother specifically said to me very kindly, it wasn't an argument, but could I at least raise my children to be open-minded to religion? And I said, of course I'll raise them to be open-minded to religion. They're gonna think for themselves. Turns out we meant two different things. Turns out if you raise your children to be open-minded, that means a kind of like skepticism, like show me the evidence. So her version of raising the children to be open-minded towards religion was probably like meant something different to me. So I said, yes, of course I would. And she probably heard a different message than.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised in that writer's story that his parents, or his father was more upset about him becoming an atheist than him like leaving the Catholic faith. Jesse, is it possible to stop being a Catholic? You're a Catholic. You're kind of a cafeteria Catholic.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it.
Can you stop being a Catholic? Like, or are you always part of the family / cult, like the rabbi said?
For me, see, that's the problem. I've had a big issue with organized religion for a very long time because I always believed in a religious idea rather than a religious belief. A belief is something people will kill people over. They will fight a war for. They will murder in the name of whatever God they choose today. But the idea you can grow, evolve, change, adapt. There's something beautiful about that and very fluid. And I believe in that. I mean, I believe. I guess I'm born agnostic, but I mean, like, I still follow parts of the Catholic belief. The good parts, the golden rule. The golden rule, love everybody,
right?
No matter what. I don't care. I hate the whole where our Bible decided to have the golden rule with an asterisk, where it's like love everybody and treat everybody wonderful.
Every major religion has, throughout history, like for thousands of years, has had a version of the golden rule. It's just
all of them.
It's almost like common sense in terms of survival. You couldn't have a village or a tribe exist if people were just killing each other. Like, you have to have some sense, if not of empathy, of just being organized. Like, you would not be organized. Even the mafia have a version of the golden rule. Do not whack onto others lest they whack onto you.
Yeah, or you're gonna. But the thing is, in the idea of leaving your religion, the idea of stop being Catholic, I think you can. You can stop being Catholic. I mean, by many people's definition, I'm not Catholic anymore. I'm not. But I believe there is. I believe there's a God.
Okay.
And I will never judge anybody who says there isn't. If you don't believe there isn't, then okay, that's what you believe in. I will respect it.
All right, Jesse, let it be known that I will never judge somebody just because they believe in God either. So we're even.
Yeah, everybody has. Look, life. Everybody's eating a shit sandwich out here in life right now.
Life is tough.
During the pandemic. All right, whatever gets you through the day and keeps you moving on through this world. God bless you, or an entity bless you, or may science bless you, whatever it is. I don't think it's right to judge somebody or criticize somebody, or unless their bullshit pushes forth violence. And I mean the word bullshit. If your religion is pushing forth violence, then yeah. So here's the thing. On a two-pronged level, I can understand why he doesn't want to be Catholic anymore. I get that. I mean, the Catholic Church has condoned many horrible things, not just recently, but forever. Crusades and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Killing because science is too scary. I love science. Science is great. I believe that with science and faith, they are two different entities. They should not be ever mixed up, because one is evidence-based, one is not evidence-based. It's like, it's like you can't say these are the same things, know. But and then going further, when he said, "I don't believe in God," which, funny story, this happened to my brother, and I love my brother. So I told you the story off air. My brother recently came out as an atheist at my wedding. At my wedding, we're all sitting.
I hope it was during the speech. I wish you two a wonderful life together, and I don't believe in God. There's no meaning to life. We are all going to die. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. But yeah, so what happened was we're all sitting at the Last Supper table for the bride and groom, right? I don't know what it's called, but the bridal party, whatever.
Wedding party, yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, we're sitting there, and he's like, and we're just all talking, just having a good time. And he's like, this has been a crazy year. And I'm like, I know, it has been. I mean, I can't believe I'm getting married. And he's like, yeah. I'm atheist now? And I'm like, oh, really? Like, I think he just brought it out of nowhere. Yeah. My brother is so funny. Like, he is just so damn funny. The timing of anything he brings me news-wise I love it. Okay. And I'm like, oh, really? You're an atheist? And he's like, yeah. And then I'm like, how does it make you feel? He's like, not going to recommend it. It's quite depressing. Like, I'm right now going through that phase of I die and nothing happens.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I'm cracking up.
I throw up a little every day when I think about that. Like, I have a daily vomit due to that dread.
But it was so funny. He's just like, I wouldn't recommend it. Like, he wishes he could go back and essentially speak. And again, I'm trying to stay away from the topics we're going to talk about. He got sort of red pilled in his.
Sure.
He got red pilled, and I guess I took the blue pill, which is okay. Hey, some people.
Hey, the red pill is still there, my friend.
Look at you pill pusher.
I got one for you right now.
Jesus Christ, Jerry, it's Sunday. Can you give me a break?
I'll give you a break. But
this is my God's day off. Don't piss him off.
I'm going to punish you by telling you one of the stupidest jokes I've ever written.
Okay. All right.
You know the children's joke? When last night I had a dream that I was eating a giant marshmallow, and when I woke up in the morning, my pillow was gone. Have you ever heard that? That's like a street joke.
I never heard that, but it's a cute.
Okay. So people say that whether that belief or faith gives them comfort, right? Mm-hmm. So this is my joke. I dreamt last night that I was eating a giant pillow, and when I woke up this morning, I was an atheist. Is that possibly the dumbest joke ever? I have dumber jokes than that. Trust me.
I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate a good atheist joke. But so anyways.
Anyway, what's next, Jesse?
Yes, let's get right to it.
Thank you for your question. I think Cameron, and hope you and someone enjoyed that. And let's go on to what you got for us next, Jesse.
Sorry, I was just cracking up about that. All right, so the next topic we got on the dais is this comes across as a comment that was made by you, and we're going to talk about some of the questions and I'm going to field some of the things that came down here.
Okay.
So the first one that came out was basically we're going to talk a little bit of time traveling right now, time machine.
Okay.
So suspend some disbelief right now because time machines could exist. Maybe.
Okay, sure.
I don't give a fuck whether or not you would kill Hitler. If you can go back in time, the real question is, would you save Jesus? Now, you wrote this a while ago. Before we get right into the comment section, what made you decide to have this thought, Jerry? Like, it does go off the beaten path because everybody is obsessed with do we kill Hitler? But
right. I mean, that's the cliche. There was the Doctor Who episode about it. Then there's been other short stories, science fiction, and of course, there's been time travel stories about going back in time and changing things. But the stereotype, the cliche, is killing Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
And it just occurred to me, just in that random, like writing in your comedy notebook way. The Time Machine is interesting. It's one of my favorite types of story. Like I love Back to the Future. I love the Terminator. The later Terminator movies, of course, but just the first couple plus just the concept. I love stories about time travel. It's just interesting, and also you get to see historic figures. Like go back in time and see Hitler or Jesus or whatever. So I find the whole topic fascinating. Time travel would create paradoxes, right? This came up in the MCU, right? If you go back in time and kill Hitler, then you've actually removed the reason you invented time travel. So why in the future would you invent time travel if Hitler never existed? So that's like the philosophical paradox.
Yeah.
And I do think there's one piece of evidence that time travel might be occurring, and that is every few years there's evidence, like researchers, historians find out more information about Hitler's deformed genitals. Like at first it was that he was infertile. Then a few years later, he only had one testicle. Then a few years later, it was that he had like a bent penis. And I think that's time travelers going back in time and just kicking Hitler in the nuts. So that's possible evidence of time travel.
Well, if they go by the Marvel, time traveling rules, technically you can't change your past or your future because you changed the branch reality. So
right. Well, that's the paradox. So when they went back in time to do their heist, basically a heist movie.
Yeah.
They made a big deal out of you can't change the things that are happening except sneak in, get the stone, and later they're going to put the stone back so that nothing has changed. Now, all of that is already questionable, but of course, in the movies, Loki escaped. So they did change something. And that is supposed to set up be part of setting up the multiverse.
And the show Loki, which, not to plug it, check it out. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited.
Oh, yeah. That's the one. That's a spinoff show I'm looking for.
Oh, they talk about the branch reality stuff, which I'm all for. But anyway.
So I wrote that. Did we get any interesting replies? I can't remember.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So I raised the stakes. Instead of Hitler, if you went back and saved Jesus, you would be changing the course of history for thousands of years, but you'd be saving the life of this heroic figure that some people love so much. So that's the paradox in the joke.
So there is a belief someone has that they're taking a page out of Stephen King's most brilliant time traveling novel. It doesn't say this in the comment. I just recognize what they're doing. 11/22/63, in which they said time will push back because this is a predestined event that needs to occur no matter what. So they believe that no matter what you do, you can't change the time. The time will fight back.
All right.
David comments, save Jesus, save one Jewish life. Kill Hitler, save 6 million Jewish lives, which is interesting. That is a very interesting concept. He used math there.
Yes, I'm a fan of math. Let it be known. Go on the record.
And you commented back, math, you cruel bitch. Which I got to say, great answer.
Yes. His answer is great. My answer is, just being cutesy on Facebook. But I will say, if you save Jesus, then there are no Christians. And therefore, all Jews from 2,000 years ago to now are saved from persecution, at least by the hands of Christians. So there would be no Hitler. There'd be no Catholic/Christian Hitler to kill 6 million Jews.
Then there would be no Mel Brooks, and we wouldn't laugh.
Well, I mean, Mel Brooks is Jewish, so we'd have Mel Brooks. He wouldn't be spend his career mocking Hitler.
We would live in a world where the musical producers.
Yeah, there'd be no the producers.
I'm not sure if I can live that world. I mean, so we gotta refresh this question. Put an asterisk in this question. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, if you save Jesus, you're going to cause the future to be not as funny.
Right.
That's the asterisk.
The Jews back then were funny, you know.
But not Mel Brooks funny,
Right.
all right?
Because now, 30% of all comedy writers are Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
If you went back and saved Jesus, 100% of all comedy writers would be Jewish.
But you'd be taking away part one. I'm sorry. I'm such a Mel Brooks fan.
Mel Brooks would still be funny.
Okay. Gary, if you can assure me that Mel Brooks will still be funny, then go forth upon this mission, okay?
Any other good comments on that thread?
I don't think the G-men would let you. He'd have to gag the crow off Judas, keep him away from the Jews. It's a whole rigmarole. This is a great question, though, says Barry. So
Barry, that's another version of the like Stephen King and Doctor Who has this too, like fixed points in time that can't be changed. So Barry's theory is while you were trying to save Jesus, God would do something to you. You'd never be able to finish that mission. Yeah. Which just goes to show what a cruel son of a bitch God is. That he would kill or stop the person trying to save, quote unquote, his son. People listening to this at home, I just made air quotes, the greatest thing to do on radio. If you're watching on YouTube, bam, air quotes, bitch. Okay. So just to say, God is going to in this scenario, God is stopping someone from saving God's own son. That's pretty messed up.
It is. I got one last comment that I do appreciate in honor of the fact there was a movie, King Kong versus Godzilla versus Kong. Here's what Shane Clark throws in. I would grab Jesus and bring him to Hitler's time and make them fight to the death.
The celebrity deathmatch approach to history, to time travel.
Sometimes.
Oh my God. I'm going to write a movie now and I'm going to have to give Shane a credit for story idea. Oh my God. Imagine the film possibility, like a big Coliseum where aliens grab famous people from history and make them fight it out. Possibilities are fucking endless. Hey, someone on that thread, if you have it in front of you, because people listening at home, I don't have any of this material, Jesse's bringing it, said something about the 4-day weekend. Remember that comment?
Yeah, you're going to make me look all through here. Holy shit.
I'll give you like 3 seconds, and then I'll just paraphrase it.
You're probably going to have to paraphrase it, because I'm right now evil baby orphanage right now.
Also a good comment. But someone went on there and posted something about they wouldn't save Jesus, but they would change the day he died so that he came back on Monday so we could have a paid 4-day weekend.
That is a good idea. That is a topic to have.
It's practical and it's a payday. We have a winner. Hey Jesse, if you have it queued up, I think it's time for a public service announcement.
I believe so. It is. So without further ado, let's have our PSA.
A message from the Comical Heathen. It's not always easy to recognize if someone you love has become a member of a cult. Here are some of the warning signs. If you notice a change in their fashion, that's actually just a different color of robes. If their group provides medical...
Oh, what happened, Jesse?
What happened? Hold on.
Sorry, listeners at home.
Let's try it one more time. Oh, here we go. We'll cue it back up. We'll save the day. Here we go. We are sorry for the technical difficulties. Yeah. We're fixing it right now.
Yeah, we have a public service announcement that we wanted to play for you.
Comical Heathen.
Here, we'll try one more time.
It's not always easy to recognize if someone you love has become a member of a cult. Here are some of the warning signs. If you notice a change in their fashion, that's actually just a different color of robes. If their group provides medical attention that doesn't involve any doctors. If their congregation is less like the cast of the movie The Mission and more like the cast of Mission Impossible. If their ceremonies involve chanting to lock someone up.
Oh, what is going on here? Hold on. I'm gonna cue it back up one more time. I apologize for the technical difficulties we're having here. I'm not sure what is happening, ladies and gentlemen. Give me 1 second.
And just
hold on.
A message from the Comical Heathen. It's not always easy to recognize if someone you love has become a member of a cult.
We'll try it one more time.
Here are some of the warning signs. If you notice a change in their fashion, that's actually just a different color of robes. If their group provides medical attention that doesn't involve any doctors. If their congregation is less like the cast of the movie The Mission and more like the cast of Mission Impossible. If their ceremonies involve chanting to lock someone up.
I always love that one.
If there's any talk about long-distance travel by spacecraft. If someone you love is demonstrating cult-like behaviors, direct them to the Comical Heathen. We could really use the followers.
Thank you,
everybody.
Thank you, public service announcement, dude. And we definitely could use the followers.
Hold on, no on. There's more music for some reason. There we go. Got rid of it.
Okay. When
Hold on, my off. You keep going. I gotta shut my.
I'm okay. Jesse's gonna deal with a technical problem, and just for the thousands of you listening right now, just to let you know, this episode is going out live. It will be available on the YouTube channel, and also I'll do an edited version, just cleaning it up a little bit and post it as a regular podcast episode. So the rigmarole you just tolerated kindly will be polished out of the podcast episode of this conversation.
Yes, my apologies, Jerry. I don't know what happened there, but we're all cleared up. I think we were having a little Wi-Fi difficulty, but we got back.
Yep, it happens. It happens. So in a minute or two, we're coming close to the time when we're going to bring on our special guest.
Yes.
Before we get to our special guest, Jesse, let's mention I first met DJ Dangler at Indiana Comic-Con.
Yes.
You, me, and Dan Brown are part of we are the heart of a group called the Action Comedy Nerd Show. And before the pandemic, we would spend the year, especially the summer months, traveling to anime and comic book conventions, doing nerd comedy shows, jokes about time travel and Doctor Who and Dungeons and Dragons and our life as nerds. And when we did Indiana Comic-Con the first time a few years ago, I saw another comedy show was listed on the program. So, went to see what the deal was. And there I met the hilarious touring headliner. He also has commentated wrestling, by the way. Fantastic. Very interesting, diverse, and hilarious. Let's bring onto the show now, Jesse, our special guest, DJ Dangler.
Hey, hi, Jesse. Hi, Jerry. Thanks, guys. I'm so happy to be here.
So happy to have you.
DJ, it's so good to see you. And with comedy being largely shut down the past year, there's been less opportunities to see you. So how have you been doing? You've been hanging in there?
I've been as good as I think anybody's been. and not a billionaire. Yeah.
Still not a billionaire. You've kept your beard trimmed. Your beard looks neater now than the last time I saw you.
There for a while. This is at the very onset of lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
I was rocking a Hulk Hogan mustache.
Okay.
For a handful of reasons.
Sure.
But one of the driving forces was I realized I kind of can't get stuff done unless I kind of hate my boss.
Yeah.
Kind of a rage-based producer of things.
Mm-hmm.
And work for yourself, that's really difficult. So but I realized if I look like an aggressive a-hole,
right?
This guy needs a hand. Yes. So I'm just kind of growing into after the fact. It's funny though, for months. It sounds ridiculous, but I don't know if you've ever rocked silly facial hair on purpose. But like, and also like, it's not that mustache is inherently silly. It's funny on my face. There's no joke. Like, like it doesn't look ironic. Like I look like your least favorite uncle. Like,
right? Yeah, definitely.
I look like it's one of those like, hey, name any other amendment. I can't, sir. Only the second one matters. Like, I don't have that.
Right.
Yeah. It's like there's no humor to it, unless you legitimately know me. Then I think it's very funny.
No, I mean,
I would forget I had it. So like on the rare occasion where I would see people, like, why is this person? Oh, they're treating me because I look like me.
yeah. I would imagine
These people aren't jerks. They are just perceptive.
I'd imagine you get people walking to the other side of the street, but for different reasons than they usually walk to the other side of the street.
Yeah, the other. It was fun. I'm honestly thinking of going back to it.
Sure.
Just because it's a liberating experience to have people have no expectations of you.
Yes.
Like, does that make like
I know, yeah.
Nobody asked that guy for
your beard trimmed and wearing that nice red shirt, you look like someone who gets stuff done.
Yeah, I could help you if something's up high at the store, of course. But if I'm walking that Hogan, you're like, no, I don't need any help with you ruining Thanksgiving. We're good.
In fact, I may leave now.
However, I can catch like the boomerang from it. A lot of guys I don't like assume we're pals.
Right.
Like I do get a lot of that, and that can kind of, I mean, it does kind of feel like it is weird that's camouflage in a weird way.
Yes.
It's effective camouflage for the crowd that wears camouflage.
Yes. It's a very unusual dog whistle. And it's particularly strange in this era where, let's say, most responsible citizens are wearing masks. So if you had your mask on, they wouldn't see that.
Yeah.
So it's only when the mask is off. So whereas the crowd you're camouflaging with would not be wearing the mask in the first place.
Yeah.
So there's almost like a double signal, the lack of the mask and the face glare.
Baffles them. They get so mad about it.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like back when Maury used to have like beautiful transgender women on.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have guys just like, I need to break my TV. I don't know how to get feelings.
Back in the 80s, I had a friend, his grandfather was an old Michigan farmer, salt of the earth, Republican as you can get. And that's when the surge for really having seatbelt laws was coming on. And this gentleman broke his seatbelt so he could lie it on his lap in case the police saw him, but it would not function.
Yeah.
And I just thought, like, not only I've thought about this gentleman because of the people who refuse to wear a mask. Yeah. Like, you would rather break your seatbelt than wear a safety device.
The notion of freedom and where people draw their line has always just delighted me. Like, I mean, that's such a weird position to take, but like, a friend of mine went to Africa in college, like his senior year, to like do some pharmacy stuff. Like they had a cool whatever. And I don't remember where he was, but where they were having like a vote for if the cops could pull you over for drunk driving. Like if that was within the government's rights to say you can't drive drunk.
Right.
And people were outraged. Like,
right.
Well, you want to tell me I can't get drunk in my own car? Like, and I just love that, like, our level of what we are presented is freedom and great and the way it's supposed to be.
Yep.
Any infringement upon that is reason to fight. Hey guys, I've got these socks. They make your shoes smell better and last longer. I'll kill you with your hippie socks.
Yes, that person would now intentionally not wear socks and let mushrooms grow in their toes.
Yeah, I'll show
you an expression of their freedom.
like I was listening from the green room, and like things do kind of hit similarly.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up like goofy religious. I grew up Midwestern, real American religious.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
I grew up, I'll steal the joke from 30 Rock, but it was just when I heard it, I was like, oh, that's how I grew up, Christian illiterate. Like that was like, I'm sorry, I'm Christian illiterate. I'm like, oh no, that was what my church primarily was. Like,
Right.
I like blue-eyed Jesus
Mm-hmm.
and the God that appears on Family Guy, not the one on The Simpsons. He seems smug.
Yes. He seemed okay with Homer not going to church.
Yeah, but no, like I grew up with a lot of it, and I can remember like when I found out that things like orthodontia used to be deemed immoral, or worse than that. It's not immoral; it was deemed like evil.
Right.
And it was just one of those when I was like, oh, okay, this is a work in progress. This isn't they didn't get it right the first run.
Right. Yeah, they're not there yet.
That didn't seem so impossible to digest. Like,
Right.
yeah, I never had. It's like, hey, I can't think the guy in charge hates reason.
Yes. Yeah. But, and invented it. Gave us reason and now hates us for using it.
Yeah, like,
Yep.
hey, gravity is a pain in the ass often.
Yep.
Like, gravity sucks. It kills a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
But
Falling objects is like the number 8 cause of death.
Yeah, but like we're using it. We get it. It serves a purpose. Old age gets all of us.
Yep.
But if it wasn't for old age, I would have to still listen to Elvis. No one's enjoyed Elvis my entire lifetime. Like, yeah, I'm happy about it.
Hey, I just want to quick plug of my own. And what I call season 1 of the Comical Heathen, I had a long conversation with DJ about his background and his comedy. So please, I'll include a link to that episode in the description of this episode. So please engage more with DJ. Hilarious and also thoughtful commentary about his upbringing and about religion. But let's get DJ's thoughtful commentary on some of our Q&As.
Yeah.
This is a Q&A episode. Jesse has some material prepared for us. Jesse, what's the next question lined up?
Thank you very much. So we are going to actually talk about Christian Mingle. We have an anonymous friend that has wrote, in the past episodes, you made fun of Christians who use Christian Mingle. I didn't get the joke. Can you explain it more, Jerry? So talk about Christian Mingle. Let's do this.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact episode, but first of all, thank you, person, for listening, as well as sending in a question. And it was one of those things that came up in conversation, so it wasn't a really like planned out bit. So we probably didn't explain ourselves well. We're just riffing a little bit. I'll tell you the core of the answer, but I want to hear then DJ, you jump in. But the core answer, which isn't even the joke, it's just like what was the joke about? It was about faith, right? Because if Christian Mingle exists, and if you're a Christian who lives in faith, shouldn't you have faith that God will lead you to your partner? Like, shouldn't that happen organically according to God's plan? Why would you need Christian Mingle? Like, it would seem to me it's an act of not having faith to use a dating app to find your life partner. And that's what we were riffing about in that earlier episode. DJ, any thoughts about Christian Mingle?
I just have to say, I would be nervous about Christian Mingle having the same drawbacks as like Christian rock or Christian comedy. Where like the people don't have to be very good to be treated like superstars. Like, you're going to get a whole lot of sixes that are just expecting share treatment. Like, yeah. That would be you're going to get a whole lot of Kirk Camerons that really think they're Brad Pitt. Is that right? Is it Kirk Cameron? He's the lunatic.
Yeah,
right?
you got it.
He's left behind. Yeah. Yeah. No, like I said, like I grew up in that area, in the Christian Mingle America, in the white woods of real America. And
Well, that's where the men swipe left and right by pushing the women out of the way.
yeah, I feel so bad, and I don't know if I'm allowed to feel bad. Like I don't know if that's condescending
Right.
and
Yeah.
terrible also.
Yeah.
But I feel really conflicted about a lot of women stuck in that area of the
Right.
world of the country, and it's not area. It's like the opposite of the Swiss cheese holes of
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
But like I do. I would be worried about limiting my scope for who I wanted to talk to.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's my concern. If you're like, hey, I can only get along with, not as weird as farmers only, that baffles me. Like, that confounds me. Hey, but even then, when someone explains it to me, I'm like, I guess that makes sense. You have to own land and work until you hate your life to make me happy.
Yes. These are qualities I looked for in a dating partner.
Yeah, but it's one of those where I'm like, hey, if you were better at communication, you could figure that out real quickly.
Right. And does farmers, I don't know what the farmers meet. What do they call their dating site? Farmers meet?
Farmer only.
Farmers only is one of the questions whether or not you've had experience milking a cow. Because I could see where that would save a lot of time.
Yeah, it could.
Like the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
What they do is they put a real complicated pattern on your phone. You have to match your dexterity to. Proves your grip strength.
Yes. There's as comedians, we've all traveled, and I can't remember, DJ, has your comedy or life ever taken you out of the United States?
Not really, but
Okay.
Canada, but not any part of Canada that didn't feel like rural Minnesota. Like it wasn't, I didn't go to Toronto. I didn't go to Vancouver. I didn't go where it was really cold and weird. Everywhere I went just felt like a Detroit suburb.
But when you travel and you meet other people, you learn about where your hometown. So if you leave Ohio, and like I went to graduate school in Boston. So for 2 years, it's the first time I was really out of Ohio. And I learned about Ohio by being in.
Yeah.
And then when I traveled abroad, I learned about the United States. And I just say that in relation to whether it's stuck geographically, like some of the people maybe where you were raised or even where I was raised, frankly, like what are the odds that of the 7 billion people or more in the world, your soulmate lives within a 5-block radius of where you're currently standing?
Real fortunate.
Yes.
Real fortunate. Also kind of seems like you brought everything your universe needs in a tiny little pack with you.
Yes.
Yep. The limiting little pack you've got.
Yes. It's most people are living the I don't know, is it the cultural life of a hobo. If it doesn't fit in the one knapsack on the end of a stick, then it's not part of their world.
Even a hobo implies travel. I would say, or a captive, of a stowaway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stuck in a barrel on someone else's ship that you don't even know has other decks. Hey, in the question and the original, joking around was that question of like faith. And I know Jesse's already brought it up. It seems to be in modern theology the defining feature of religion. Since religion, can't really do a credible job of explaining science anymore, maybe it could thousands of years ago, there's been this clear division between, I'm not saying what Jesse said half an hour ago, between like science-based evidence-based science, but religion is faith. It doesn't need evidence. In fact, evidence would almost just be a problem for faith, because if you if you met God somehow, then you don't need faith to believe in God anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought.
The whole idea of the idea where I kind of ripped it off of was a couple of it goes along with some of the topics I'll bring up in a little bit, but Constantine at one point couldn't ask for forgiveness from God because he has no faith in God, because he knows of God's existence. Therefore, because he has based evidence of knowing God exists, faith has been negated for him.
But that almost feels like a time travel paradox.
It does, doesn't it? It does.
It feels like a can God microwave a burrito so hot he can't eat it type question.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's why children make the best theologians.
yeah, because they will, because the emperor has no wings on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, can God make something so heavy that God himself cannot pick it up? Like,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what'll blow some students' minds. I do teach an intro to philosophy class, and we do a little like unit on religion, which is a version of this question, which is, do you believe that God has a plan, like predestination? Like if God has chosen your mate for you, or God has given you a life path. So does God know the future? So if you say yes to that, my next question is, can God change the future? So he only can have one of those two powers. He cannot know the future and change the future, which means that God is not all powerful. So there's a potentially mind-twisting paradox for you.
Yeah, it's I love the concept of just being okay with not knowing.
Sure.
Yep.
Like, and that's one of those, like, I've struggled with it. I've identified, again, I heard a little bit of the conversation. I've identified as an atheist for a long time because I know, like, I read somewhere, it is the one trait that people test most negatively towards.
Yep.
You are running for office.
Yep.
Every religion is better than atheist.
Yep.
Which is weird to me because it's one of those where I'm like, oh, but I don't want to identify as an agnostic because I think everybody with a shred of reason is an agnostic. Like, I think anybody that I'm willing to listen to is an agnostic, because if you're not, you want to burn down my house for having sex with my girlfriend, right?
Right.
Like, I grew up with that, and that's kind of an unfair position to take too. But I grew up with a type of religion where it was almost like a competitive, oh, you believe in orthodontia? You're not a real Christian. Oh, you think women should be allowed to not carry a fetus to term? You're not just not a Christian. You're in league with the devil.
Right.
Like, you think the earth is round? You're suspicious. Not sure you believe in God hard enough.
Yes.
It's just one of those where, like, what's the bottom? Is the bottom I have to wake up every day and ask God if I need to go kill my eldest?
Right.
Because if that's the guy that's in charge,
yes. And in that story, which my favorite philosopher Kierkegaard wrote about a lot, the key thing which goes to faith, Jesse, is that Abraham had to believe he had to kill his son. Like, he couldn't have faith that God would save him at the end, because then he wasn't really doing it.
Yeah.
He had to be going to kill his son in order for God stopping him to be meaningful. Otherwise, he wasn't following God. So the person in your hypothetical story has to wake up in the morning, DJ, ready to kill their son. Like, if that's what God tells them to do.
And
yes.
I don't. Yeah, and I've never really been able to look at that as a virtue.
Right, indeed. And anyone, including 99% of the Christians and Jews and Muslims, would stop their neighbor from doing that. They would not say, "Oh, how godly that person is." They say, "Tackle that lunatic and get the knife out of his hand."
Yeah.
Hey, let's make sure we have time for at least one more comment, Jesse. Give us one more thing you have ready. What are we doing?
All right. Well, I'll give you guys a choice because I know we're running short on time. I could stick to some of the Q&A questions that we got from the fan desk, or I can bring in one of the things I had down for myself. So with you being the guest and you being the host, what would you choose?
Do one of the fan things. It's a little more fan engagement.
Let's do it. So hold on a second. Let me pull it up right now. So this one was brought up as well as with my co-host, John Jacobs from the At the Grown Ups Table. This is something that kind of came up in discussion.
So Jesse does a weekly podcast called At the Grown Ups Table, and he and his co-host were talking about something that wound up going on to Facebook and causing some chatter.
Yeah. We were talking about the idea of Hollywood's, the episode was about The Matrix. And we started talking about how there is kind of this religious undertone to it, which a lot of Hollywood movies have, this kind of metaphoric savior, like Anakin is Space Jesus, Harry Potter's Wizard Jesus, Superman in Man of Steel is Super Jesus. In this case, Matrix, Neo is Cyber Jesus. So the idea is, what is, we're kind of talking about, why does it seem like this metaphoric savior complex is always brought into movies?
Would you say Toxic Avenger is Toxic Jesus?
Absolutely.
I forgot that one. That's the most important one.
I mean, it's a competition between Toxic Avenger, Toxic Jesus, and Evangelical Jesus, Toxic Jesus.
Toxic Jesus.
One of those two. Our next celebrity death match will be the two Toxic Jesuses.
I'm sorry, Toxic Jesus was actually John Wayne.
In every movie he was ever in.
There you go.
And in real life. Which that's my father's favorite actor, so I'm going to get punched next time I see my father. By the way, that's adult punching, not child abuse. I want to make that perfectly clear.
This is one of those, sorry to talk in a bit, but it's just a joke I've written over quarantine that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
I've realized recently that you can be a great dad without being a good man. My dad never hit me growing up, but swung on me 3 times as an adult. Weird. It's a weird, like he would never hit a kid, but he's not going to let a grown-up disagree with him. Not in.
And you grew up in a religious background. I grew up in a wrestling background. So just take that up a notch,
Which is disturbingly entwined.
Yes, you are correct, sir.
Incestuous.
The Venn diagram of those two worlds is quite overlapping.
Yeah, there have been a whole lot of manger manias. It's WrestleMania weekend this week. I don't know if your nerd sphere dips into that, but it's a big week for us broad-shouldered faithful.
Talk about faith. Imagine what you're watching is 2 grown men in decorative tights with fanciful names, grappling acrobatically, even beautifully, sometimes brutally, and you have to decide whether or not you think it's real.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bigger act of faith than what happens in most churches, for sure.
It 100% is.
Hey, I'll just throw in, I want to say, Jesse, about that question and all the Hollywood movies that have savior motifs. I mean, I think that is a storytelling motif. It's probably a story archetype that's older than the story of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
There were other demigods with similar stories. Famously, Dionysus, the Greek god, has almost the same biography as Jesus. And so that idea of even dying, protecting, or fighting for what we believe in, and then being reborn, that is definitely just I don't say just because it's kind of important. It's an important story archetype that predates Hollywood and predates the Bible.
And I don't even think it's like shoplifted. I think it's just a real easy story. It's Beowulf.
It's almost Jungian. It's like a psychological archetype that there should be a story like that.
Also, this is going to sound like it's dying young is sexy. It sounds fun and sleazy, but it is, man. Like, hey, this guy didn't get to finish his. It's the reason the first Batman's easier to write than the third Batman. Like, starting a story rules.
Yes. And James Dean is the sort of 20th century archetype of that. Made 3 great movies.
Indiana bisexual Jesus.
Yes.
Don't say that around here. People get pissed.
Oh, yeah. Hey, unless anyone's life has changed since last we spoke, all 3 of us are married. I've been married.
My life has changed. I am no longer married.
Oh,
super happy. So that's nice.
Okay, well, this isn't therapy. I won't go deeper down that rabbit hole, but thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
We'll just say what I was just going to say is, did you find your mates? Like, was that faith or was that accidents or was it, instead of faith, was it fate? You know, I'm not even quite sure what I'm asking, but.
No, mine is a lot easier to answer now without having to run it past anybody. Yeah, I think people pair up real well sometimes, and I think some people are. We're social creatures, and the family is a real easy. I don't want to say easy; it's a whole lot of work, but it's a simple.
Yeah. Yep.
Society to make. Like a lot of us work way better together, and if you find somebody you work with, run with it, man. That's beautiful and awesome. I'd never want to get in your way, but I don't think you're doing anything more important than anybody else trying to make more of us.
I was married once before. I married my college girlfriend. And speaking of, just you remind me of that, just again, without going the route of therapy, I'll just make this comment. We were a great couple in college. It was a huge mistake to get married. Like that was a different phase of life that we were not well suited for. But as a companion during college years, a lot of synergy.
I feel like my answer to the question is going to be contaminated because I met my wife in Catholic school. So
at a Catholic mingle.
Well, one aspect I could be like, no, we would have been destined to meet without the school. But then you'll have the one person going, "Would you?" And it's like, come on, that's not even fair. But I just believe, I believe in the sense that true love is out there and you'll find it. Kind of. So it's not much a religious idea that I have. Right. I believe if you're really meant to be with somebody, your paths are just going to keep. I call it the when Harry met Sally. Deal. They kept meeting back and forth until eventually they just ended up.
Right. Which that movie had the horriblest, wrongest ending.
Yeah.
Because based on the theme of that movie, it should end with them in elevators passing each other.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
No, I'm thinking of Sleepless in Seattle. Sorry, Sleepless in Seattle had the wrong ending. That's where they meet at the top of the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
But they should never have met. That movie would be like a genius film. Sleepless in Seattle, not When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
I think that because so many people date and marry people in their immediate vicinity, again, like 5-block radius, that to find your soulmate, you need to travel. And if you can travel internationally, which is why it's my goal to sleep with at least one person from every country. That way I'll know I've met my soulmate.
As a man of science.
Yes, scientifically proven. Yes, with a data set large enough.
I do think your point earlier, Jesse, kind of played into it. I feel weird as a self-identified atheist or whatever. I realize how tremendously I benefited from the institutions of religion. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a jerk sometimes. Hey, I'm sorry, but I'm not willing to carry the misogyny with me because you taught me how to be nice to stupid people. Mm-hmm. The fact that I'm still talking to you says you did a good job.
Yes.
It's like that's a weird part because it's one of those where I'm like, hey, I'm glad you taught me how to put my boots on, but you can do more than just stomping shit in them.
Yes.
I think it's my problem with organized religion is it teaches this good shit and then it gets into the weird shit. And that's where, but I think the basic part of what people deem religion is just being a decent human being, regardless if you believe in some sort of entity or not. Just be a nice human being. And I think religion sometimes takes responsibility, like, oh, that whole part about where we're all being nice to each other, we came up with that shit. And it's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah, nobody has a monopoly on good behavior.
Exactly.
No, that's it. That's us. We did that.
We had commandments. We trademarked that back on the mountain. All right, that's our shit.
Sharing. That's all us. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just that's the only thing. I just feel like because as Jerry mentioned, the golden rule, it exists to some certain degree in every other religion. And, just because someone is atheist, they're not going to be like, oh, that's dumb. They'd be like, oh, yeah, that's the good idea to live by. Treat people equally and wonderfully. It's not like someone's atheist and they go, fuck that idea.
Right.
I forget what it was, but somebody just pointed it out. It kind of turned the whole QAnon nonsense up on its head. If there is an evil Illuminati that's controlling the world, they live here too.
Yeah.
They don't want to live in a world with no puppies. They don't want to live in a world where sugar quit tasting like sugar. They don't hate sunshine. There is no, unless they're lizard people, and then I guess
that changes everything. That changes. And based on the current composition of the Senate, I do believe in turtle people.
Why not?
At least there are several, at least 3 or 4, at least one for sure. There's a turtle person in our Senate.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I bring this up because there was a kind of a funny question. I've been watching HBO's coverage on QAnon. They have this kind of this documentary, and it's basically just to give you guys a summary. Think Tiger people or Tiger King with politics and computers. It's just Tiger King. But I love this one lady who's diehard about QAnon, and she said something about religion and QAnon that just it baffled me, and I fell off out of my chair laughing. She said at one because they believe in there's a league of elites that have underground dungeons where they rape, kill, and drink the bloods of children. And she said, and she's like, well, by that logic, let me tell you something. The world is flat. And then the interviewer's like, wait, what? Yeah, the world is flat. Why do you believe that? Well, if God can let there be an underground dungeon with the elites doing that, why not? And you can smell the smoke coming from the documentary guy's head. He's like, wait, what are you talking about? And then
one of the big things that you're like a Dawkins and Hitchens was most concerned about, because most religious people you meet in the street, not unlike what DJ was describing, are basically like nice-ish people. And maybe some of them, their religion helps them learn to be nice-ish people. But so even setting aside terrorists and extremists, just in the mainstream, middle, soft, marshmallow part of religion, you still have to accept magical thinking. And once you've entered an acceptance of magical thinking, there's no end to that. You're now open to any suggestion or vulnerable to any suggestion. And indeed, the more you push back, like if a religious person logically and strenuously tries to push back against QAnon, they also end up having to push back against their own beliefs. So it's I don't mean that every religious person automatically believes in QAnon. I'm talking about the difficulties that magical thinking brings once you introduce them into your worldview.
I think
I'm going to interrupt you, Jesse, to say one other thing.
You're good.
The last Q&A I did for this podcast, the theme was conspiracy theories. So I kind of don't want to redo conspiracy theories right now.
I agree.
Hey, everybody listening to this in the future, not right now, I'll put a link to that episode and you can get some more of my thoughts on conspiracy theories in that earlier episode.
I think it's going to be hard because they're going to be in the news for a while, because just with the onset of social, we're all just kind of learning how dumb all of us are in different. Like whenever anybody tries to tell me the world's getting worse, or, oh my God, people are stupid now, or blah, 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 people used to know more. No, in the 80s, people thought pro wrestling was real, and one guy hit you with a snake. Nah. We're good. We're not dumber. We've always been real dumb.
Yeah, we're not any dumber than we were back then. Strange. Hey, fun fact. Extra fun fact. Anyone who says fun fact, you're allowed to slap if they're over the age of 18. But fun fact, a recent study shows that the human IQ is going up by approximately 2 points every generation, every 20 years or so. So by IQ standards, whatever the hell that means when you're dealing in the real world, people are getting smarter in general on average for all the good it's doing us.
Just a slow raising an average is so hard.
Yeah. Hey, I think we're gonna finish up soon. So I want to give both of you like a chance to go around twice. Once will be final thoughts, and then the second will be if you have anything you want to plug coming up. But let's just say we've been talking. It seems like faith came up a few times today. I might make that the subtitle for the published version of this episode. Any thoughts about any of the topics of today, or just things you wanted to say or get off your chest while you have the chance? Since DJ's a special guest, I'll do Jesse first and then DJ. And Jesse, I'm giving you like 40 seconds max. So final thoughts, Jesse.
Faith is great, but it doesn't just automatically make you a great human being. You can have faith and be an incredibly shitty human being. You can not have faith and be an incredibly shitty human being. And you can have or have not and be a great person. Point is, the two are two different things. Just be a good person, be kind. I'm going to quote Robin Williams because I like the one quote he had. Be kind to everybody because you don't know what battle they're going through, and respect their battle.
And he was going through some battles himself, indeed.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, Jesse, a couple times today used the phrase organized religion, which I couldn't help think about what would a disorganized religion be, which then made me wish that the Marx Brothers had a religion. And then I realized they do. It's being the Marx Brothers, and that is who I worship. So that's my disorganized religion, is worshiping the Marx Brothers.
Another Marx.
Carlin worship Joe Pesci, so why not?
How about you, DJ? Any final thoughts or things you want to make sure you get to say? Get off your
Christian mingle might be weird, but atheist get together is the most depressing place you'll ever go.
It's a lot like what's happening right now, actually. So if you can imagine, this podcast was a dating site.
It's sexy.
Oh yeah, DJ is handsome. Excellent. Hey, we're recording this on April 11th. The live video will stay up for a while, or the video of this will stay up, and I'll also do an edited version of the audio for the podcast, just clean it up a little bit. But so it's April 11th. In the next few weeks or couple months, any gigs or anything you want to plug? What do you guys got going on, Jesse?
Just basically check out jessepimpanella.com. I'm going to be all over the area with like Newark, Ohio, Cambridge, Ohio, Galena, Ohio. And then I'll be venturing out to West Virginia for a leg. So just check out.
Well, you have your website?
jessepimpanella.com.
Excellent. How about DJ? Any gigs or interesting things coming up?
Yeah, I'm putting on a real neat show on 420 in Indianapolis. I'm doing a show. I hope it's something I do a lot. It's the Fancy Trash Show. It's like a live action choose your own adventure, kind of a cooperative trivia game.
Okay.
It's big and silly. I'll be playing Wizard Nixon. Wizard Nixon and the war on 420.
I want to play Wizard Nixon, man.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. But yeah, no, it's something I hope I do a lot of. I hope it's something people get to see. Well,
Can they get information on Facebook or your website? Or
yeah, it's we're doing like a trial run on 420, and I'm hoping to have a bunch of stuff that I'll put everywhere on all of my social media right afterwards when it's a go.
And that's in Indianapolis.
Yep.
Sweet. I love Indianapolis. That's where we first met, and I remember it fondly.
Yeah, and then I'll be at Helium Comedy Club on the 22nd and 24th. Same city. In
which city?
Helium.
In what city?
Indianapolis.
In India. Okay. Yeah, cool.
Helium City.
Helium. Yeah, there's not a Helium in Cleveland, but there's one in upstate New York. So I was trying to remember what city it's in. Anywho, I got a couple of just local gigs in March as well, but I was trying to launch the Comical Heathen live one-person show, which I did a few of right before the pandemic hit. In Columbus, Jesse was my opener. Mm-hmm. And then I had some shows scheduled in 2020 that all got canceled, which is, I understand. So I'm on board with being safe. Looking into the future, I'm going to start reviving that. And I am scheduled to be in the Kansas City Fringe in August doing that one-person show. And I'm also helping out with the Rubber City Comedy Festival in Akron the first weekend of May. So I'll be around that. So please, if you can, support the Rubber City Comedy Festival. And next week's episode. So season 2 of the Comical Heathen, I'm trying to do 10 weekly episodes every Sunday. This is this week's episode. Next week on the Comical Heathen, our guest is comedian Brian Scott McFadden. So funny. Oh my God. Show business family. His grandfather was in vaudeville. And then my guest co-host is my good friend Dan Brown, another member of the Action Comedy Nerd Show. That just leaves it for me to thank everybody. I already thanked my musicians for my theme music. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Mark. I want to thank Jesse for being my co-host as well as running the live stream for me. So thank you, Jesse.
No problem.
And thank you, DJ. I'm so glad we could connect this way. And we did do that interview a couple of years ago. And thank you for being our special guest on this live cast.
Thank you. So good to see you, man.
All right. And just remember, it might be your dogma, but it's my karma. And I'm all about spreading the love.
I'm playing the music
right there
right now.
What's that?
I was trying to play your theme music, but it's
I know. I'll put it in post.
There we go. All right. Well,
all right.
We'll take it easy. Have a good one.
Good seeing you, Jerry. Thanks so much for that.
No, thanks for doing it.